while we were on vacation, we watched the Disney Davy Crockett show.
It's a
or
great movie.
And one of the things I'm realizing is that a lot of people have been watching this recently. Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. And it's almost like, and this show was crazy popular. When it came out, it
Yeah.
created what's known as Crockett Mania. And for 2 years, American children, but
They're
even
all
like
wearing the coon
presidents,
skin caps and everything.
I think it was even at one of the presidential inaugurations, it was this like mania that ravaged the country. And one of the biggest blunders in Hollywood history was Disney killing Davy Crockett at the end of the first Davy Crockett movie. So at the end of the movie, he goes to the Alamo and he dies instead of having him go on more adventures. So
they didn't know it was going to do that.
They had no idea that they had lightning in a bottle.
And that's why they tried to make a second one. It's just not great.
Davy Crockett and the River Pirates, which would have done well if it hadn't have been that like midquel, because it kind of didn't fit in
Disney sequel.
Narrative. No, they weren't evil. They in fact, the films are quite well made, especially given the budget and the fact that they were initially TV shows. Like they didn't know that they had created lightning in the bottle.
Right.
And I've been talking a lot about will King Arthur return, and I don't actually think that he will, at least not to the States, because King Arthur is not an American hero. He's an English hero. He's uniquely Celtic, right? He's from Wales, the one place that wasn't conquered by the Saxons and resisted even the Danes and, and to a lesser degree the Normans, right? They persist to this day, and they long for the return of Arthur. We've had two kings in the United States, maybe three. Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, Elvis Presley, who's king of rock and roll, and then maybe you can include Michael Jackson, the king of pop. I don't, and maybe King James and king of in sports, right? We don't throw around that title very often, right? Maybe 4 Americans in the history of the country have been given the title king. If you can think of somebody else who was titled king by his fellow Americans, post it in the chat. But Davy Crockett was the first. Before Elvis Presley was king of rock and roll, Davy Crockett was the king of the wild frontier, and he's very much a first-turning hero. He's fighting Indians, but he's also making peace with Indians. He's fighting the Mexicans. He's taming the frontier. He's bringing order to chaos. The frontier is
Congress.
He goes and fights Congress. Yeah. And interestingly, he goes and fights Congress, and he fights both political parties at that time. So he goes as a Jacksonian. But then while he's there, he turns on the Jacksonians because he didn't want to violate the treaties with the Indians, because he was there negotiating those treaties and he didn't want to violate those treaties. And so he breaks with his own political party. Yeah, that's great. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, it's like, where do we need to bring law and order to Congress? That's where.
That's where we want it right now.
And Congress is very much presented as a wretched hive of scum and villainy. You know, it's like, yeah, it checks out. It's a little sad it was that way back in the 1840s, but it definitely continued being that way. And it's interesting because he finally got so fed up with the political process, he got pushed out by his own party because he turned on them, that he said, "Y'all can go to hell, I'm going to Texas," which is a very famous quote. I know we have keep it family friendly, but I have one exception. That's for Davy Crockett quotes. He can say whatever he wants. And we finally built the statue for him at the Alamo within the last 5 years, which is very interesting because we're in the process of going from the fourth turning to the first turning, and it's just now that we're looking back on Crockett again. And Crockett is very much that Arthurian character, but he's that Arthurian character with that American twist, right? He's from the frontier. He's born in Tennessee. And gosh, the comments are going crazy. I'm not reading these. So
I'm reading them. It's okay.
Okay. Just interrupt if it feels like it's appropriate. And so I really feel like if you want to understand where we're headed, really look to where we came from, and specifically the character of Crockett, and ask, why was Crockett such an appealing character? Because you can almost say that all of the Westerns in the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s, right, the heyday of the Western, was trying to capture that Crockett mania from the early 1950s or mid 1950s. And the Westerns all time shift forward a little bit, because Crockett is not your typical Western character. He's not wearing a cowboy hat. He's not out in Arizona or Dakota, right? He's fighting over Tennessee, the lawless Tennessee. He's fighting river pirates on the Mississippi River, right? Places that were very much settled by kind of the golden age of Westerns, which normally take place in the late 1800s. And I think that American story, and I posted a whole essay on this on authormedia.social. I won't go over the whole thing, but one person commented and was like, what if the wild frontier is actually in space or under the ocean? And it's like, I really think that needs to be explored. I think that's in fiction. I think that's a real opportunity.
So one way to look and see how the first turning or any of these turnings could be effective at a certain time is to look at video game trailers. Okay, video game trailers are all about making the maximum amount of impact in the shortest amount of time, and they use visual cues, and they use music, and they use subtext to tell you exactly what kind of hero this is going to be, and if people get excited about it. For instance, I was normally a big Star Wars guy. I didn't care about Star Wars Outlaws because they didn't portray the hero in a way that I wanted to. I didn't want to be that hero. That wasn't the kind of person I wanted to be. However, you get Doom, where you have the hero walk out into hell with a bunch of demons snarling at him, and he's just walking forward and doesn't stop. He never considers. There's no fear. He just keeps going. Like, that's exactly what I want to be when it comes to facing evil. That's what I'm looking for in an experience. Davy Crockett did exactly that. He went into the frontier fearlessly. Every time he confronted, like, the guy that he did the shooting competition with,
he wrestled a bear.
Wrestled a bear after trying to grain it down because the frickin' officer wouldn't shut up.
I'm sensing some latent resentment here. Enlisted Jonathan.
Oh no, there's no latency.
No latent resentment
My
here, sir.
ping is good. No, but then he's talking to he makes peace with the Indians after going into their camp.
After fighting them. It wasn't after peace fighting through them. Concession. It was peace through victory, peace through strength.
He goes to Congress and does the same thing because it's what needs to be done. He didn't even want to do it, but it needed to be done. It was the right thing for everyone around. He goes to the Alamo because it needed to be done, because that fight needed to be fought, and he was the guy to fight it. That's a powerful archetype, and you can see it repeated in multiple genres, just that style of hero. I mean, you've got Doom, okay? You've got, now Elden Ring doesn't do that, even though Elden Ring seems to be so similar to Doom. You've got these heroes that you want to be a part of, and want to be a part of their story and experience that story, because that's what you want to have happen in your life.
Ruthless and noble, right? He's noble, and that he's a man of his word, and the various Indian tribes know that he's a man of his word, which is why they're willing to negotiate with him. But he's also ruthless in that he's willing to fight with tomahawks man to man. And so that combination is the essence of the first turning combination, which is very different from Elvis Presley, who's a second turning king, which in even more of almost a third turning king, where it's about creative expression and challenging norms.
It's about fighting stagnancy.
Right.
It's about everything around you has grown complacent and dead and fake and artificial. It's like, the way people consider church sometimes. Like, this is just a performance that everyone's feeling like they have to show up to once a week.
Justin is saying, but David Crockett is real, though. David Crockett is real, but he's also a
mythologized.
He was a myth even in his own day.
Yeah. He was awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah. The most recent Alamo movie actually captures this really well. It has the actual Davy Crockett going to a theater production about Davy Crockett.
Yeah.
And he's like rolling his eyes the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
And the myth needed to exist, right?
Yeah.
And so Davy Crockett just happened to be the best fit. He was a better fit than the Daniel Boone version of that, which was kind of the predecessor, right? So you have Daniel Boone as like the forerunner. He's like the John the Baptist version of that myth. But David Crockett was the ultimate version of that myth and persisted, right? So you had Daniel Boone for a long time, replaced by David Crockett, and then no one has replaced David Crockett as that archetypal character. And so, yes, he's a real person. But if you get into the real version of the story, suddenly he has body odor and he starts making mistakes and judgment decisions that are maybe not perfect. And that's not what we want for a first turning character. We don't want the realistic, grounded, gritty, grim, dark version where everyone is evil and depraved. No, we want the noble hero. We don't want to hear about the depravity. We want to hear about the nobility.
So what is John Wayne to you then?
John Wayne is the fictional version of Crockett in every movie that he's in. Right. So the Hollywood, once they find a formula, they will follow and copy that formula until they've squeezed every dollar out of it. And
right. But John Wayne actually had, like Crockett did, he had a whole generation of men being like, this is the icon of what a man is supposed to be.
Well, he literally played Davy Crockett in his own movie, which is actually the best of the Alamo films, I would say, in terms of capturing the spirit of the Alamo. Mm-hmm. It's not trying to be historically accurate, but I feel like it does a really good job connecting the three different nations that were represented in that. So now I'm going to connect this with my very first Zeitgeist episode, which is about the American nations and the different super regions in the United States. So Texas has three. We have the Deep South, which is represented by Travis, who's very uptight, very honorable, very much by the rules. This is how it's going to be, very straight-laced. And then you have Appalachia, which is represented by Davy Crockett, which is rough and tumble and rugged and ruthless and willing to do whatever it takes to win. And then you have El Norte, which is represented by Jim Bowie, who's married to a Mexican woman who dies halfway through the story. And it's this major turning point in the plot. And the conflicts between those three men capture the conflicts between those three nations, all of which are represented in the nation or the people of the Texas people. So Texas has your southern cities like Dallas and Houston, and it has our greater Appalachia. Actually, Houston is Deep South. Fort Worth is like greater Appalachia.
Yeah.
And then you have San Antonio, which is El Norte. It's a totally different place. And a lot of people have no concept of the El Norte flavor of Texas. And San Antonio is like our gem that we keep to ourselves and we don't tell people about. It has a bigger party than Mardi Gras that's way more fun and way more family friendly, but like almost as well attended as Mardi Gras in New Orleans. And nobody outside of Texas even knows about it because we don't make a big deal about it because we're happy to keep San Antonio to ourselves. Thank you very much. You never see San Antonio featured in TV shows. You never see it featured in movies. And it's one of the oldest cities in the country. It's older than the state of Texas. It's older than the United States. It's a town with an amazing pedigree, and it has a very different cultural influence. And so that what made that movie work so well was it captured those regional differences represented by three different men who are in conflict the whole movie. The movie's not about the Texans versus the Mexicans. It's about the Appalachians versus the Southerners versus the El Norte.
So, I just watched this movie again recently. Dune Part 2, which I really enjoy. I really like both of the Dune movies they've made. I hate what they did to Chaney. We don't have to talk about it. But talking about what you're talking about, Paul is represented as the ruthless hero in this one. And he started reluctant, but he was chosen one, and then he got the visions, he got the knowledge from taking the water. And he turned into something ruthless, where he stalks into the middle of thousands of hostile Fremen and upends their traditions and refuses to kill Stilgar in accordance with what everyone thinks he should do in order to be able to speak. He's like, no, this is wrong. We're going to do it my way because I am the opener of the way. And then at the end of the movie, he forces the Emperor of the Universe to kiss his ring. And that's just not something we consider good guys to do. This is a ruthless hero. This is a man who's going to change the decadent, stagnant, dying, oppressive world. And then that movie ends with war starting. The great houses are above. They're refusing to acquiesce to him. So he's like, we're going to bring you to heal.
And not just any war, a jihad that kills billions of people.
We're going to change the world to save it.
Paul has an interesting question. He says, would John Wick and the TV Reacher fall under the same style of hero?
Those are not the same hero. John Wick is reluctant, but John Wick is acting out his own vengeance. His wife, he tried to get out of the killing. There's no
higher purpose.
And he got out, But then he married his wife died, she sent him a dog, and then someone evil came in and killed the dog. It's a vengeance story which turns into a survival story. I love John Wick, but he's more about the way you should be treated as a man.
And John Wick isn't really a Zeitgeist story in that it's connected to a really core universal psychological motivator, which is vengeance. John Wick is the exact same movie as Taken, but you just replace the daughter for the dog.
No, I don't agree. Because it changes, right? It starts vengeance, but it's about how a man should be treated. What kind of man are you? And he just keeps going and keeps going. He's like, I'm on this deal. I got to fix it. I'm in the hotel.
Keep asking me if I'm
now
back.
I did this. And now they're hunting.
Back.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I'm back. And now he's stuck trying to work in this impossible world, which John Wick 4 had an impossible task ahead of him, which they plot armored so hard. But
he's ruthless.
Not.
Is he noble?
No. I'm not. Well, here's the thing.
I think John Wick is
a good man noble.
So part of me feels like John Wick is the last of the great third turning / fourth turning heroes.
Right.
Where he's not noble. He's not fighting to create anything. He's not trying to rebuild the table and take it over. He's
trying to
evil.
Destroy and get out.
He's not building. He's not taming the wild frontier. Right. He's just destroying. And I think that, and this is part of the reason why the John Wick films are not doing as well commercially as they were the earlier ones, because that archetype of destroying evil, period, is less appealing than the destroy evil and build something that's good.
Yes, and
build your own
good.
assassin society built on honor or what have you. Right? He's not doing that. He's not trying to build something new, and I think that makes him less appealing as a character.
Equilibrium was the same way. Do you remember Equilibrium?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, you need to watch Equilibrium. Equilibrium was released at the same time as The Matrix, which is why it got overshadowed big time. It's Christian Bale as a gun priest, and he does gun fu. Okay. Basically, it's dystopian. Entire world has banished emotions. They take pills to suppress their emotions. He misses his dose. He starts feeling there's an underground. He connects with the underground. The underground does not have the power to break the system that's oppressing everyone, but he does. He has the training, he has the skills, and he has the ruthlessness to do it. And that whole movie is about I think it's called the Tetragrammaton clerics trying to fight Christian Bale and keep him from breaking everything. And that is a third turning movie because that treats the hero more as a weapon. It's the level of force that we need to break the system so we can build something. And that movie ends with him killing the major bad guy, and then explosions start going off as the resistance is able to destroy the dose centers. And the idea is they release the population from the enslavement that they've been pressed under.
So where would you put Reacher in this?
Reacher
is he trying to build anything?
No. Reacher is trying to enact justice within a restrictive system, but he has the courage to not be restrained by it. And the bad guys are the ones who use the system. They create and reinforce the system for their own benefit, but he has the courage to stand against the system and suffer any consequences the system might put on him.
Yeah. I do think that you could say John Wick and Reacher are noble dark. I feel like that description as a hero, they're a noble dark hero.
John Wick is grimdark.
You think John Wick is grimdark?
Yeah. He's a dark man in a dark time doing dark things in a dark place.
You're right. He's not a good man. He tried to be good.
He is a good man. No, he's a dark man. But he is a good man who has done bad things.
I think that's the interesting question that the story explores, actually. He was a bad man. He got married, and his wife inspired him to goodness. And in his grief, in seeking revenge, he forsook that goodness and went back to his dark life of ruthless brutality. And he's still honorable in the sense that he doesn't kill everyone at the nightclub. He only kills the bad guys at the nightclub, but he kills all of the bad guys at the nightclub.
So many headshots.
There's no mercy.
In John Wick 2, it's like, why are you still running this way?
So we only got to a fraction of the stories. We didn't get to any of I had a whole bunch of AI stories. We didn't get to
Oh
any of them
no.
other than the like existential dread? Is AI coming for our jobs? And the answer is yes, it is coming for you. It's coming for jobs around you. Whether or not the AI Grim Reaper will come for you is up to you. Will you use AI to survive, or will you be culled?
Right. Right.
But this Zeitgeist conversation is really interesting. I'm really enjoying your comments. If you want to comment on this more, I took my David Crockett thoughts and posted a whole post on authormedia.social on this, so you can explore it. But understanding where the puck is heading, right? Like if you were going to create a new character, creating a new John Wick isn't the right character to build, because he's a character who's losing steam, as opposed to Crockett, or a character built on the Crockett archetype who's gaining steam. Because Crockett is not dark, so
Right.
he's a ruthless. He's ruthless and he's noble, but he doesn't have that darkness to him. He really is, as an archetype, seeking the good, the true, and the beautiful, and he's
Right.
willing to do ruthless things to achieve the good, the true, and the
We
beautiful.
more use the word hard. He's a hard man. You know, ruthless, it fits and it works, but people ascribe negative connotations to the word ruthless. He's a hard man, so that when the bad guy steps up, Davy Crockett doesn't move.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Crockett does have mercy, so I guess the word ruthless doesn't apply to him. I like the word ruthless, though, because it's so challenging
it is.
to
Yes.
our value system, because none of the Marvel heroes are ruthless, at least in the cinematic universe, right?
I don't know. Captain America was chucking dudes out of the plane.
It's true, but like it's why they won't make a Punisher movie, and it's why
Yes.
they keep scrapping the Blade movie, because those are ruthless heroes, and the current Disney leadership is uncomfortable with a ruthless Punisher. And if you take the ruthless out of the Punisher, you take the Punisher out of the story.
Yeah. You can give him a point of hope, like John Wick has his dog. That's his memory of his wife to keep him human. Batman has Robin. You know, you can have points of light within the darkness.